Awakened Radio Network is brought to you by our sponsors. Visit and let them know you heard about them here on the Awakened Radio Network. Do you have health and medical problems the regular medical system cannot seem to figure out how to fix? If the answer is yes, then check out RifeEnergyMedicine.com. That is Rife spelled R-I-F-E. RifeEnergyMedicine.com for a new way to approach many of your health problems. RifeEnergyMedicine.com. Are you looking for a fun and easy and productive way to promote and advertise your personally owned business? If so, the Awakened Radio Network just might have the solution for you. Visit awakenradio.net and look up under our products and services tab. Or add Awakened Radio to your Skype contact and send Donna Devane, the station owner, a message. Or you can add DonnaDevane@gmail.com to your email contacts and send Donna an email letting her know that you would like to set a time to go over how to advertise your business in a way that makes getting sales easy without the struggle and a whole lot of fun. Do you have a message? Something that just burns within you that you couldn't stop talking about even if someone offered to pay you to? Well, you just might be the type of host that we're looking for here on the Awakened Radio Network. Add Awakened Radio to your Skype contacts or send Donna Devane, the station owner, a message, DonnaDevane@gmail.com. And let's set up a time to talk and see if you and Awakened Radio Network are on the same consciousness wavelength. We might can work together and provide a win-win where your message goes out on our airwaves, reaching our global listeners, bringing fun, self-growth, and a whole lot of excitement to both your life and the Awakened Radio family.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lila Rose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello and welcome everyone. Dear listeners, welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio. This is your host, Pernilla Lila Rose, and it's funny to say that, but I'm still here with you. I know a month and a half ago, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to continue and if this was really the right thing, and I was just sitting with that, and then there was this person that I was very motivated to invite onto my show, Sarah, and it hasn't happened yet, and I partly want to apologize. I thought it was going to happen within a month, and as you probably have noticed if you have listened, that it hasn't happened yet. Sarah has been very, very busy, and she simply could not fit it in. She's involved with many amazing projects to help people. So I'm kind of still holding my hopes out that it will happen. And in the meantime, I feel actually moved to continue Evolutionary Women Radio, at least for now. So we're going to be here at least for another month, and who knows what. And it may sound like I'm wishy-washy, but I'm just really following the movement, and in a way I'm sharing that with you because I want you to know that there are times where you just really don't know what you want, what's right, what to do, what not to do. Shall I stay? Shall I leave? Shall I move? Whatever it is. And there are times where that comes up where you just you just don't know. You don't feel the energy moving the direction that you want to go. You don't feel it's totally stopped either. So it can be challenging sometimes to be in that place, and I think most of us don't quite know how to be with that. Now, I'm not saying that I have the answer to that, but I have the answer to it in my own life, and that's, like I say, that's the only thing I can ever share with you is my own experience. And if any of that resonates with you and inspires you, then that's wonderful, because then it is your own experience too, and then you can trust that. If any of what I say is not resonating with you, then please trust that too, that there is something else for you to listen to that will be in resonance with you. So, but if you are in a place where, or maybe once in a while, where you just don't know, should I stay or shall I go? Shall I say yes? Shall I say no? And then what we often do is we're trying to force some kind of solution to come through, or we push ourselves to decide something that we just don't know yet. And instead of waiting it out, we may make a decision, a premature decision that may not have been the correct thing. It's really allowing that place where we don't know. I talked about it a while ago. It's like living in and as the mystery, and simply learning to trust that there is a natural phase where we do not know. And to me, that feels almost like a time in the womb where something is growing. It's not born yet, but something is growing, something is morphing into form, but is still formless. And the mind, of course, wants to know what the form is. And that's why it's going to push the birth, like, be born, be born. I want to know if you're a boy or a girl. But there is a time, and it's something that is a very natural part of our life that we simply don't know. And learning to be okay with that can be challenging. I know it for myself, more so in the past. I'm actually quite comfortable with it right now. I've just come to a place where I realize there is a time where I don't know something, and then I can try it out and I can go with it. So to come back to the radio show here, it feels like I'm actually really enjoying it, being here. I still look forward to connecting with people and hear, what it does for you. Is it inspiring? Do you resonate with the message? And that's an open invitation that's always here. And you can always do that by going to the chat room here on awakenradio.net/live chat room. And you can just go in and say hello. You can introduce yourself. You can chat with me. And maybe with others, you can invite other people, other listeners into the chat room, so we can have a little powwow going on. That makes it more fun. That makes it more alive. And you can also call in. That number is 334-649-7204. And on top of that, you're also welcome to go to the forum on awakenradio.net, and you can also reply there. I always post something there, usually the day before the radio show, about what the subject, what I'm planning on talking about. And it all kind of relates to the e-zine or the newsletter that I send out most every week. Not every week, but most every week. And that's usually a subject that's just coming up, where I'm just sitting and being curious about, what wants to be talked about today, or it's something that I really notice is going on in my life and my life's surroundings, which could be my clients, my students, my friends, my neighbors, my community, something where I notice some kind of a trend that stands out to me, that feels like, oh wow, this is actually, there's something going on here that I want to talk about, because it feels that it's important enough to bring that subject more to consciousness. So that's what's going on. So please share yourself in whatever way you want to. It's just wonderful to be here with you and connect with you. And if we get to chat, that would be great, whether it's live or in the chat room. So just so you know then why I'm continuing, and I'm still hoping that Sarah will be on. And Sarah is the wife of Danny Sheehan, and I'm actually taking one of his classes here at UCSC in Santa Cruz. And even though a lot of it goes right over my head because I'm not used to that kind of language, Danny is a civil rights attorney. And man, he can talk like you will not believe it. It's just unbelievable. And in that and underneath that, there is just this deep love for justice and really creating a world that's based on love and justice and fairness and a lot of the things that we all long for inside and that we know is possible. So I really appreciate the work that him and Sarah bring to the world, and I want to support it, and I want to bring it here on the show, if that's going to happen, to inspire you even more, because they really inspire me. So, oh, wonderful. Hi, Susan and Dove and Butterfly in the chat room. Hello, my friends. Oh, that's so nice. I have my family here. Wonderful. Thank you for being here, and it's just so great. I get a big smile on my face when I get these messages. So hello and welcome, and thank you for being here. Well, today what I have been noticing, one of the trends that I keep noticing and have done for a while, I know you've heard me talk about it probably forever, but it keeps popping up, and that is the importance that we do things together, that we start creating a new community, a new society, a new way of being that is based on togetherness, on cooperation, support, mutual support and care. And the reason I'm bringing it up now, there's been a few instances in my life where I really see that if we don't start creating that amongst ourselves, we can't fully heal. You know, if you listened to the show last week, we were talking about the work that I do, which is called Hakomi. It's a assisted self-study. It's a body-centered therapy. And it's very much about bringing consciousness into the areas that we have been trying to get rid of or avoided or too painful to meet, and learning how to do that with love, safety, and nonviolence. So we can start healing and transforming and even more waking up to those areas in us that are still asleep, that feel separate, that feel outside, not part of. And when we start healing those parts inside of ourselves, what I'm realizing is that you can only take it so far, because when we start healing something like that inside of ourselves, and then we go back into the world, in our community, in our society, and it's dysfunctional. There is that sense of separateness. So even though in a session you might realize, you're not separate, and it is all one, and there is no other. You might start realizing these things first inside of yourself, that the parts that you have been excluding and disowning inside of yourself, when you start bringing them into yourself and you stop resisting them, you start allowing them, listening to them, even loving them, you really start feeling more whole. And that whole sense of separation can start dropping away. But then, if you don't have a life or a community or an environment to go into where that is being lived, it's so easy to go right back into your own old pattern and holding yourself back and separating yourself because it's not quite reflected on the outside yet. So there really are two sides to this story, because we do need to heal that sense of separation inside of ourselves. There's no way around that. And at the same time, we also need to heal that outside of ourselves by starting creating more community. If you look at nature, everything is dependent on each other. There is no blade of grass or tree or flower or what you would say bird or squirrel. There is nothing that can live on its own that is independent of the whole. The soil that the grass and the trees and the flowers live in, it's part of them. They cannot survive without it. All the minerals, all the microbacteria, all the fungus, all the things that create a good, healthy soil for the plants to get their nourishment from, they're essential. So if one of these, let's say there is this flower that starts popping up out of the ground and it says, no, I want to do it on my own. Nobody likes me here. I don't feel I fit in. I don't want to be here. And then it tries to separate itself. And it may do that by closing off the receptors in the roots that would normally take in the nourishment. And of course, what happens is that the plant will start withering and, maybe getting diseases, attract predators, and eventually die. And truth be told, we are no different. We are not different. That is what most of us do. I can certainly recognize that in myself, that sense of wanting to hold myself separate, not thinking, kind of maybe having a sense that the world is not a safe place, although that's certainly changed a lot over the years. But generally, we all have these same projections and beliefs and expectations. And that's why we separate ourselves and try to do it on our own. And what happens then is, of course, we start suffering, we feel alone, we're hurt, we get sick, physically sick, mentally sick, emotionally sick, because we have shut off our receptors, our connection receptors, or our nourishment receptors, and we are trying to do it all on our own. And then you get into that thing about, I have to do it on my own. And then you start working harder and doing more, and, you exhaust yourself, your adrenals, get shot, and you're just a mess, you get sick. There really is no way around opening up these receptors again and start connecting with our community, with our friends, with our neighborhood. It's essential. And yet, when you start working on your, shall we call it your stuff, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, we all have our stuff, our baggage. When we start working on that, we can make leaps and bounds, and we can really start waking up to who we are. And it's beautiful. You start realizing, oh my gosh, I'm not my thoughts. Oh me, oh my. This belief that I have been identified with for most of my life, you start realizing there is absolutely no truth in it. And as soon as these things start falling away, which is really that separate sense of self that has been clinging on to a belief that this is who I am. And when that starts softening, like, by allowing it instead of resisting it, by starting to listen to it instead of wanting it to go away, you create pathways inside where there's connection with these separate parts, and then they can morph into the whole that you are. It's so beautiful, and I'm sure that a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's a beautiful process. And then there's the next step. What about our environment? That's part of it, right? I wrote in my easing yesterday, that sustainability includes you and me. And if you are one of these people who is called to co-create a world that is sustainable, how can you do that without including yourself, your neighbor, your community? How can you create sustainability if it's not done with everybody around you? Just like the trees in the woods. I live here in this beautiful area where I'm surrounded by redwood trees and squirrels and beautiful, beautiful nature. And when I look out, it's all part of the whole. It all is dependent on each other. And then when I look at my neighbors, it's absolutely no difference. It's exactly the same. So in my own experience, where I have come, where I feel, healed from a lot of the beliefs that I have lived with and as if were true, I'm not saying that I'm out of the woods by any shot, but it's an ongoing moving away from what I thought was me and realizing who I really am. But at a certain point, I would say, a certain point in our awakening, we realize that we do need each other. We do need, we need to connect with each other and support each other in making this realization inside real in our outer life. And that can be challenging because not everybody sees it that way yet. And that's some of the things that I've been running into as challenges myself, because I am in a place where I cannot see the solution to the problems in the world by just waking up myself. It's great, I'm cool, but truthfully, I'm not cool because the world around me is dying, the environment, the air, the pollution, the water, the whole money structure. Everything is crashing. So in that sense, it's like, no, it's not cool for me to just walk around and feel whole inside. It's simply not enough. So that's why I'm doing everything I can to connect, to start creating community, so that the healing that can happen when we do our individual work can start taking root in the world. And that's a place that I feel very inspired and alive, and I feel very strong about it. It's definitely something that wants my attention, and it's getting my attention. I want this in my life, and I know that not everybody wants that yet, or not everybody is ready for that yet. You see, that's that place where we need to do our own healing first. We need to, because if we walk around in the world wounded, that means separate from ourselves, disowning parts of ourselves, hating ourselves, judging ourselves, doing all these things. As long as that is prevalent in our life, it's limited what we can do for the world. And I'm not saying that we can't, because I think any step we take in that direction is necessary and good. But if we want to make a full impact, the more whole we have become inside, the more we can bring of that wholeness to others. And and Susan, maybe that's why you're still doing your show. Yes, Susan, thank you. Maybe there's some truth to that. Because something in me is not done yet. I have not given up. I have not stopped. I get discouraged sometimes when it's going really slow and I would like it to go faster. Do you ever experience that things are not going as fast as you would like them to? I have that too. And I don't let it run my life. I'm just noticing that some of those tendencies are still there. And when I catch myself in that, I can just let it go and just see, oh, that's not who I am. It's just a thought telling me that things should be different than they are. So thank you, Susan. And so here we are, right? We need to do our inner work first. And that's what we talked quite a bit about last week, how to do that. And I talk about it every week, almost every week, how we need to learn to allow instead of resist. That is a big, big step, at least in my experience, to start disidentifying with who we are and letting that separate sense of self slowly melt and dissolve. It's just an energy that's been contracted and it's not who we are. But then, you see, when you start healing enough, at a certain point you're over some kind of a hump where you start feeling more strong in yourself. You feel you're more able to hold the trauma and the drama from the past inside of yourself and around you. You're more able to just contain it without trying to get rid of it, without believing it, and without trying to change it, right? It's like your container of presence and of allowingness gets bigger. And then when you're suddenly over a certain hump in that, then there is a natural movement to start serving in the world in whatever way that looks. And we're going to talk a little more about that after the break. We have a few more minutes before the break. And that's definitely something I would invite, if you're listening here and if you're moved, if something inspires you, if you have a question around it, I invite you to connect with me after the break. And in the meantime, if you want to learn more about some of the work that I do, I also have written a book. I have a CD set about meditation and mindfulness. The book is called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself, which is very much about how to heal these separate parts inside of us. How do you become one with yourself when you keep living in duality? Waking up to who you are is not enough. You can't transcend or bypass any of the areas inside of you, inside of me, that don't know that I'm one with everything yet. I can't just ignore those and leave them behind, because they're going to keep tugging at me. They'll be there waiting for me when I kind of get out of that experience of oneness or that expanded space. They're right there waiting for me or for you. They're not going to go away. So I strongly invite you to be curious about the parts that you still want to get away from and get rid of and judge and see, is that really working for you? And that's a question you can answer yourself from your own experience. But here we are almost on the break, and why don't you go and take a look at my website, which is lillarose.com, spelled LILLAROSE.com. And here you can learn about the things that I do, the things that I offer, books and tapes, and you can get a free 30-minute discovery session to connect with me and see if it would be a good match to work together and help you become one with yourself. So, my friends, we're going to go on a short break, and we're going to continue this after the break. See you then.
At Awakened Radio Network, we're all about success. We know that working together is the perfect way for all of us to live the success lifestyle. That's what it is. It's a lifestyle. And to help our listeners move into 2014 knowing that they can live this life, we're opening up our airwaves to some of the best lifestyle teachers anywhere in the world. A day-long event where you, as the speaker, are spotlighted by our station manager, Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru, who knows how to guide you to your best sharing. Check out our website and get all the details at awakenradio.net. Look on the tab where it says Success 2014. Perhaps you and your message would be perfect for our December 1st, 2013 speaker event, where we give people the tools to do more than wish. We empower them to live success. I'd like to invite you to add Awakened Radio to your Skype or email Donna Devane at awakenradio@gmail.com to find out more about this 9-hour speaker event. Let Donna Devane help you share your message of healing, personal empowerment, success, whatever it is that you're passionate about. This is the perfect opportunity for you to share with our listeners all around the world, December 1st, 2013, where we help people to do more than wish. We're going to give them the tools to live success. Join us, Awakened Radio at awakenedradio.net.
Welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Thank you for joining and listening. This is your host, Pernilla Little Rose, and this show is brought to you by Women Standing for Love. Welcome back. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. This is Pernilla Little Rose, your host, and welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio. And today we're talking about sustainability, including you and me. And in order to make us sustainable, we need to connect. We cannot do this Lone Ranger thing anymore. Well, we can, and we are, and truthfully, most of us are. It's a matter of somehow breaking through that barrier where it's always just about me, my problems, my time. Oh, I had that experience recently with a friend in my life where there was really a part of him that just wants to hold on like this is my time. You know, I'm so busy in my life and I don't want to start doing all these things for other people. I just have so little time and I want to spend that time on things that I want to do. And, you know, when I heard him say that, I know that this is such a common thing. It's like, it's a common flavor in our society. It's, you know, I want to do it for me. I want my time. And because most people have piled up so many things on their plate, they don't have time to step out of that busyness and start making a difference for people who really are in need. There are people who are suffering, in need, alone, lonely, you know, isolated, and who need the help. And it's, for me, it's often a fine line to find out, you know, where do I help and where do I enable? And that's kind of a fine line we need to learn when somebody really is in need. And there's ways to work around that. But we need to be aware that the needs in the world, they're not just in a foreign country. They can be right on your own street. And because if we're so busy, we either don't notice it or we notice it, but we kind of don't want to know it because I want to go home and do my own thing. I want to go dancing. I want to go to the movies. I want to go out with my friends. And I've been working so hard, so I deserve that. There's all these excuses that we have. And I want to just make sure I'm not saying this in any kind of judging way. I'm saying it more as an observation that I think would be good for each and every one of us just to notice, so it becomes more conscious. So we're not just living out an unconscious pattern from the old paradigm where every man on his own. I'm taking care of my life. I don't want to deal with your life. You need to do your own thing. It's so deep in us, like, oh, I don't want to bother. Or how about this one? Oh, that's inconvenient. That takes away from my time for myself. I can find this in me. I'm not trying to pretend that I don't have it in me. I can find it very easily where it's like, oh, I don't want to be bothered. I just want to, be in my own life, with my own friends, and do my own thing. I can easily find that. But what I can easily find too is like, yeah, maybe that is so, and I will have time for myself. But there's this other part, and there is a need right around the corner, right outside my door, right down the neighborhood, right down in town. It's everywhere. And if I keep turning a blind eye to that, I get stuck in my own separation because I'm not really acknowledging that this person in need is me. It's an aspect of me, and I can't disown that. And then it's about learning, well, how can I help? How can I make a difference? Because many times, like I started saying, most of us have cut off our receptors to receive. And because of that, these people may not even know how to receive, and that can be challenging, So, here's another message. Let me just see here from Susan. I have recently decided to volunteer at a local youth center, just hanging out with the kids. And I'm also returning to a local seniors day program, doing relaxation meditation with them once a week. I'm so excited about those opportunities to share and support. Thank you so much, Susan. You're speaking exactly what I'm talking about. And, Susan is one of the radio hosts here on Awakened Radio also. You can listen to her. You can just write to hear when it is, Susan. Is it on Wednesdays, if anybody want to listen to your Magic Hour show? But Susan has done a ton of work on herself and has woken up many, many areas and is doing beautiful work in the world. And here it is, right? There is a natural movement to start sharing that. It's like when your cup starts running over, you want to find a place to put that extra, that extra abundance. And that's what happens. But then again, we need to honor those who are not there yet. There are a lot of people whose cup is far from being full. I mean, there might be half a drop in their cup, and they need somebody like you and me to pour into their cup, so that when it's full enough, that they can start out and taking the action in their life to heal deeper. And eventually, their cup will runneth over, and they will have a lot to share because they have been through a lot of suffering and hardship, and because there was support around them, then they can start making a difference for others. But not until their cup is full enough. I'm not saying it has to be full and running over. It just has to be full enough that you feel you have satisfied your own healing, your own basic needs, simply things that are essential for you. And then you start noticing like, oh, you know what? I have a few extra drops to give. Where can I give them? Who needs my extra drops so I can help their cup fill up sooner? So these are the things that are very, very important. And that is part of the trance or the dream that we're waking up from next. You might, well, not next, you might, whatever, I don't know what we wake up from first, but when you wake up to yourself and realize more of who you are instead of thinking you are your thoughts, your feelings, your body, your beliefs, then you can start looking around the world and you can see where you have been buying into ways of being that still support separation. Let me say that again. When you start waking up inside first, and then you start looking outside, then you can also start waking up to how this oneness that you're beginning to realize that you are, how you are not supporting that in the world, where you still support a sense of duality, a sense of separation, by not doing what is whole and sustainable in life. Can be anything. You can pick one area in your life, and you may notice just one. It could be maybe where you shop, where you go shopping. Is this store that you support, is that supporting sustainability? Is it supporting wholeness? Where do you put your wholeness into? Do you put it into a place that is a sweatshop, that has people working in different countries for a bare minimum wage, where they basically don't even have the time to go to the bathroom? Is that where you shop? If it is, then just become aware of that, and then you can choose not to support that specific store anymore, and instead maybe go to one that is fair trade, that supports organic cotton growth or whatever, or some that are in transition, some that are beginning to become more green and sustainable. That is where we can start putting our energy, instead of keep supporting something that we know inside is not sustainable. And when we I know there is this part of us too that is that goes for convenience, right? It's like, well, it's inconvenient. It's so easy for me just to pop down here in that store, and it's just easier. It's like, yeah, that's true. It is inconvenient. It is. It's inconvenient to change our habits and patterns that we're so used to, that make it easy for us, where we save money, where we don't have to spend a lot of money. All these things, they are convenient, yet they are not sustainable. They're not sustainable. And if we want to create a sustainable world, and I hope you want this, because that's certainly what I'm about and what this show is about, both inside of ourselves when we need to be sustainable, but then we bring that into the world to make the outer world sustainable. And it's just something we need to do. If you don't mind me being so bold. Oh, and here's a chat from Susan again. I asked when her show is. Oh, it's Thursdays. Okay, so Susan Kern is on awakenradio.net every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time, and her show is called Magical Life Playground. So I would encourage you to go and listen to Susan. She's a wise woman. Aren't you, Susan? So another thing that I want to share, that a way, how do I say that? A way to recognize that you are supporting something in the world unconsciously. Usually it's unconscious when we do it. Is that is not sustainable for the whole, is when we are just doing it because everybody else is doing it. When you're born into a certain way of being, you might be born in a city where everything is asphalt and cement, and it's all shops and stores, and there's very little nature and green. So of course that's all you know, and your parents have always shopped at this store, and we've always eaten at this restaurant, and it becomes kind of an unconscious pattern that we just go along with because we don't even consider the option or the possibility why we should do it differently. This is how my family has done it, and that's just how it's done, right? And then when I just put this out to you, and you may already be aware of that, you might just stop and pause for a moment and then look at it. What is really going on here? Some of the things we do, they're just so familiar. And you'll know that when they're familiar, you might hear yourself say something like, well, that's just how it is. Or that's just how people are. And that may be true in a world where we have bought into duality and non-sustainability, even though it's unconscious. But stop for a moment and take a look at, where are you putting your money? Where are you putting your time? Where are you putting your energy? And if you feel that you're starting to heal inside, then just be willing to take that next step and see how you live your life. How is this awakeness showing up in your life, the way you express yourself, the way you participate in your community, maybe in areas that could need some help? Are you saying, well, I don't have time, I'm too busy? Then I want to ask you, how come you are so busy? What is more important to you, to me, to all of us? This is for all of us. What is really more important than creating a society or a community or even a neighborhood? It could just start in your own little neighborhood. What could be more important than taking a step into creating a new way of being? Is it convenience? Is it having that little time for yourself because, you have so little as it is? So are there areas where you can make a difference, where you can say, today I'm not going to do this and this and this. I'm not going to spend. I usually use the computer because I know most of us are very identified and attached to our computer time, to our Facebook time. But just say, could I take an hour out today, and instead of spending it on Facebook and commenting on all these things, which is all sweet and beautiful, I'm not, if that's important, then do it. But could you take out an hour and do something else? Maybe do some research in your community and see, is there an area where there might be something that I could bring my gifts to, my skills, my awakeness, my love, my extra 2 drops that I could share with somebody. And I've heard in the past, I heard somebody once say that when the need of the world meets my heart's longing, then you have a very good match. That's like a match made in heaven. Because then your natural longing, your natural gifts and extra drops that you can share can fall in a place in a world that needs you. And we want to see if we can start creating some kind of a connection that way. And as you can see, for whatever reason, I'm just moved to do this radio show to bring awareness to that. That's one of the places that I like to share my extra drops of surplus. That is by sharing it with others and the possibility, what's possible. What is possible for us to do when we wake up to the fact that we have been asleep to the way we live in the world. as you know, I've shared that so often before, I'm also growing most of my own vegetables. And I live in California, so it's easier here. I do have a winter garden, and I do grow food all winter long and all summer long, different crops. And I'm trying to expand that so that the neighborhood that I live in can partake in that. And it's not like I don't want to do it that I'm doing it all on my own and I'm growing food for everyone. That would be ridiculous, right? Then I'm still on my own, and then it's still like there's them and me, and I need to do all the work. But it's a matter of inspiring others to become part of that. But when you start seeing the vision of possibilities, it's a lot more fun. And the more we can bring out the vision or images or inspiration for others so they can see that this is really a good thing to do, this would be beneficial for myself and my neighborhood, then you inspire people and something will start happening. So if you're moved to, feel free to chat in or call in and share with me just briefly what it is in your heart that has something to offer and you might have been holding it back. Just sharing it with others can be very powerful. And that reminds me, I teach meditation at the UCSC here once a week in Santa Cruz. And last night I taught the class about your heart's longing, which, by the way, if you're interested, you can check out my CD set called Meditation and Mindfulness. And one of the meditations in there is exactly the heart's longing. So we did that yesterday, and it was just so beautiful how these beautiful young souls, how they really got it. They all left with a big smile on their face, and some of the sharings that they had was so beautiful because, like all of us, they have at that young age, they're probably in their maybe around 20 plus minus, and they were already suppressing. They were already suppressing this life, this inspiration that has something to offer. And, thank you, Donna. I forgot to tell you, if you want to call in, here's the number if you want to just share yourself. I know we only have a few more minutes left, but if you just want to briefly share, you can call in at 334-649-7204. Or you can also chat in the live chat room here on Awaken Radio. So just to see these young people, how they became aware that they had suppressed something that really made them feel full from inside. Some things that they wanted to do once they got in touch with that, and how they can start incorporating that now in their life instead of just being completely lost in the busyness of studying. When you start at university, it's a lot. There's midterms and all these exams they need to take. They're studying, and they feel so stressed all the time, and because of that, they do not make room for what their heart is telling them. So it gets squashed. And then once you start doing that at that age, it's going to continue because you start moving more and more into the world, into the work life, and there's not going to be more time. It's probably going to be less time. So unless we start creating a space in our life for something that really makes us feel that makes us feel that we have something of value to offer besides our own busyness, then you start bringing a new energy to the world. And we all need to do that. Whether you want to grow vegetables or start helping the seniors, at the senior center, or help feeding the homeless, or maybe start teaching kids how to learn to love themselves. There are so many beautiful things, and we all have something inside that really resonates with us. And as you know, mine is doing a radio show, sharing this, and growing vegetables, and creating really healthy foods, educating that. I'm probably going to start some kind of a workshop at some point where I want to combine learning to love yourself, and expressing that in the way you eat, by creating really healthy foods that are very nourishing, that are fulfilling, nurturing, and good for your body, and learning what are the foods that are actually destroying our bodies and what are the foods that help make them feel alive and vibrant. So we all have something inside. And once you have healed enough, and I want to emphasize the enough, you do not need to be perfect and enlightened and, have no stuff left at all, because that's just a joke. I don't know anybody that's true for. But when you have healed enough that you really feel there is more to give than just to yourself, and trust me, there is a place where we need to take care of ourselves. You need to have your basic needs met, whether that's a place to stay, food, shelter, water. And then you can start moving away from that. Then you can start healing, some of the woundings, the beliefs, the trauma, the identities that we've taken on. And then suddenly you realize you have more energy. And some of that energy can go into the community. It takes a village to raise a consciousness. It takes you, and it takes me, and it takes us doing it together. We do need each other. We need to recognize the new collective dream that is trying to pierce through the veil from the inside of us, from the inside of our heart. And our heart is the mouthpiece it's the mouthpiece for this new dream that wants to be lived. We need each other, my friends. I need you as much as you need me. And we can't pretend that we don't need each other. Look at nature. Nothing can thrive when it's not consciously connected and supporting each other. There are mushrooms in the ground that have a wide spread mycelium, the roots underneath, that go for many miles. All that is supporting the trees, the soil, the plants, everything. It's all connected. So let's remember that. Let's remember that we are connected. Let's acknowledge that we're connected, even though we can't feel it. Just rationally, it makes sense. Of course we're connected. I can't go to the store and buy anything thinking that it's just me. There's been a whole network of people who had to create this carrot, let's say, that I went to buy, right? It's not just a carrot. It's this whole connection with the world. And the more we realize that, then we also know that every action we take and every word we speak, it has an effect on everything. So let's just decide that we have something special to offer and that we all need it from each other. Nobody is unspecial. Everybody has something unique that is needed in the world. So hopefully this is inspiring you to just start looking at it in your own life and see if there's anything that you need to fill your cup up with, or that you're ready to start pouring it out to other people. My friends, lovely to be here with you. If you want to learn more, please go to my website at lillarose.com, LILLAROSE.com. And I look forward to being here with you next week. And I wish you all a blessed, beautiful day. Much love to you all.